it okay if we're doing this a little bit earlier? Because I've been having a difficult time waking up. And hopefully, if I start streaming and I start getting myself busy a little bit, it's going to help me have a more productive day. Usually, I finish my day with a stream, but I want to do the opposite now. I want to start my day with a stream. And hopefully, there's some Europeans that don't catch me live, and they may have the opportunity to do so now because this is a very crazy hour to be streaming, especially for the Americans. But yeah, how's it going? What are you guys doing? Is the Lotus Eaters usually streaming at this hour? I used to watch the Lotus Eaters. I even wrote for it. But they become a little bit... I mean, I still agree with some of the things they're saying, but it's just that they're very moralizing lately. And I'm so sick and tired of people moralizing. My God. Like, everywhere I go, all the content creators that I watch are having moral takes on various issues. And for those of you who watch my channel, you may have noticed that I try to stay away from that. Like, I usually... I don't know, like, if you can call this moralizing to say that maybe a company shouldn't hire community managers that are spooking off their clientele. Or I'm laughing at something, but I basically try to avoid telling people how to live their lives. I think, like, once you grow, you start to realize that there's people that have different ways of finding happiness. So, like, what may work for you may not work for others. But I suppose, like, there are individuals that convince themselves that if everyone was to live life based on how they wanted, they would be more happy surrounding themselves with like-minded people. The Matt Walsh, for instance, right? Like, he likes grilling, and he likes fishing, hunting, and Jesus. And he is happy if he surrounds himself with other people that also like grilling, fishing, hunting, and Jesus. So, if he can compel enough people to live life like he does, then he would be happy. So, he can find his happiness by forcing other people to live like he wants. You know, kind of like that. I mean, again, different people find happiness in different ways, and I guess some people find happiness in trying to persuade others to live like them. The Lotus Eaters are live now, I see. Even if you agreed with your community manager once they opened their mouth in public to make a mess, you should have fired them. So I actually looked into this because this is very bizarre. And my assumption was that either the CEO in question, he is woke, or they blackmailed him or something like that. But, like, regardless, he must agree with it. Or the second one is that that community manager is just too powerful. Like she's banging the CEO, because I don't get it. Like, how can it happen? And what I found out is that Godot is actually not a classic business, right? It's not a business in the classic sense. Let's put it like this. It's open source. A lot of people use the word, but they don't actually know what it means. So basically, they're not a stable organization, if that makes sense. They're not like Microsoft, is what I'm trying to say. They do get money from backers. So, like, there are people that donate money to them. Some of them they've banned. But it's basically like a volunteer-based project. So, I don't know if the community manager gets paid or if she just volunteers or something. But if she volunteers, then you can't really fire them. And it's also like the company culture. It seems that at this point, it's so ingrained in the company that you can't really fight against it. So, they can't really do much. And most people don't care. Because it's not like a product where, you know, you buy a video game and then you can spend money on that video game and it's yours, right? With the game engine, you're using the game engine to make a product. So kind of like you're using Photoshop to draw a picture, and you don't really give a shit what the people who are the community managers at Photoshop have to say. Like, it doesn't really affect you. To me personally, I basically said this on many occasions that in the beginning of making my game, it was heavily suggested to me that I use Godot. And this is due to the fact that when I started making my game, there was like this Unity scandal regarding prices, and the main concern was that look how easy they can change the deal, right? Like look at what Unity does. Like one day you get a new TOS and you're forced to sign on it, and you can have like a business plan, and all of a sudden they can change that. So it was very concerning, and it's like, well, maybe we should look at alternatives. Maybe we should use Godot. But my developer was like, look, I got a PhD in Unity, and I can learn to use Godot if you want, but like you're not going to have me at 100%. I'm going to be honest with you. You're like, it's not just the language or anything like that. It's the menus, it's the shortcuts, it's all of that thing. Like I know Unity like the back of my hand. I can use it very well. If you want me to use Godot, I'm not going to be at my 100%. So I was like, okay, fine. Like let's stick with Unity. Now the thing with Godot, a lot of people say, well, but you should still consider it. And my response to that, and I will actually sound like a leftist, I don't feel safe using a platform from people that hate me. Like if the people that are operating the platform have community managers that have nothing but spite and disdain towards me, I don't feel safe. I don't know how they can fuck with me, but I'm pretty sure they may try to find a way. If I'm ever going to happen to be successful, it's unlikely. But in the chance that I am successful, why would I want to be on a platform that has people that openly hate me? And there is examples of this. Like there's another content creator that made a furry game, which is an anti-furry game actually. You get to play as Donald Trump and you're beating up furries. And apparently the Godot community decided to ban him for making that game. They didn't ban him off the platform or anything, but they banned him off the community forums. Because apparently furries are a protected class. And I'm like, why would I want to associate with those people? Like, there is a reason why companies have PR. And if your PR is so toxic and alienating to the customer, like, you're a game engine. You shouldn't really care what games people are making unless they're illegal. Like, if someone makes an illegal game, fine. I would get that. But, no, like, if someone just makes a political statement of a game where you have Donald Trump beating up furries, like, I'm pretty sure there's other games where you beat up Donald Trump. I mean, if you go on Steam and you look at indie games, there's a lot of shovelware there. You might find, like some games where you get to play as a leftist or an anarchist or some shit. Like, why do those games not get scrutiny, but the other games do? No, like, I'm actually fine with Unity for now because they removed the bizarre monetization settings. And, you can use Unreal or Blender, but, like, they also can have terms of service as far as I know, so. And it's also about finding a developer that knows to use these engines. Like, why would I change if everything is working as intended? I have no issues with the current engine that we're using. Everything is going fine and it's smooth. So I don't feel like changing anything. Unless, like, if Unity decides to also go public and have, like, some statements that I disagree with or something like that, then I may reconsider. But, like, right now it's fine. I need to hire someone to run our social media account. I got the perfect guy. So I actually looked into the history to try and find out why all community managers are so toxic. And I found out two reasons. But first of all, it's important to mention that they are toxic, right? Like, this is not even up for debate. I can't think of any single community from the United States that's built around an entertainment product which doesn't have, like, the most toxic community managers. And, well, actually, my bad. There's three reasons for it. The first one is Reddit. Reddit has been going out of its way in order to make sure that most of the moderators and the subreddit are far left. And this happened after the Donald took out, right? So, like, back in 2016, there was a very popular website. There was a very popular subreddit called R the Donald. And I remember that a lot of Reddit mods were freaking out about it. Like, sorry, not Reddit mods, but Reddit admins, right? They were absolutely livid about it because they didn't know what to do. It wasn't breaking any rules. It wasn't doing anything bad, but it was on the main page of the internet, because this is how Reddit advertised itself. You read it first on Reddit. That's that was like their stuff, and most of the platform was left leaning. But except for that, like that was something that really bothered them, and they fought really hard to stop the Donald. Eventually, they did manage to completely shut it down. And ever since that, like they've been doing their best in order to prevent another Donald from appearing. So most of Reddit now is incredibly far left. To the point where I remember when you had those videos with the Venezuelan gangs taking over an apartment complex. And it was just the video. Like, it wasn't anything with editorializing. It didn't have any commentary or anything like that. It was just like, no, here's the video. This is what's happening. And you could see, like, people with guns going in an apartment building. Now, maybe it wasn't Venezuelan gangs. Maybe they weren't taking over the apartment building. But like, surely when you have video evidence of people going in an apartment building, it is warranted in the conversation. So without explaining what's going on, without trying to tell people what's happening, they just banned those videos. And they were just like live leaked footage. That it wasn't anything political about it. As in, oh, this is what's happening here and how can we allow this? Why are the Democrats, blah, blah, blah. You know, none of that. But it goes to show the type of culture that's on Reddit. Like, if you post something that makes right-wingers look good, you get banned. So due to that, most of the moderators and most of the people that work there are left-leaning. I think you are too charitable with community managers. They are all capitalism-hating queer communists whose goal is to tear these companies apart. Line goes down is a win for these people. Easy fix, stop hiring community managers. I will explain. I'll get to that, why they hired them. But take into account that while this is happening on Reddit, and this is like the reshaping of the culture of Reddit, most of the communities built around entertainment, like gaming communities and other stuff like that, they operate on Reddit. Like they have subreddits that are very popular, right? So if they operate on Reddit, guess how the community managers are going to be? Like, if the platform is already left-leaning, most of the community managers from there are going to be left-leaning as well. And Reddit left-leaning means extreme left. It doesn't just mean like, oh, you're just some run-of-the-mill business Democrat type of person. Like, no. Extreme left, America is a racist, supremacy, capitalist, heteronormative patriarchy that needs to be deconstructed, taken down. That's the type of people you find there. So that's like the first way on how you get stuck with these community managers. The other way is that companies hire them. And you may wonder, like, why do companies hire them? Well, there's a lot of legislation that actually forces you to hire diversity. And hiring a community manager that's a woman is just going up with the quota. And this is what CEOs have told me. And I know this for a fact. That a lot of CEOs like are very unhappy with the community managers and the job that they're doing. But it's like, well, we have to hire them because they're fitting the quota, right? So it's also like the hiring pool of people that you can hire. You can have access to. When you go for a community manager, right, it's not like you're going to get a lot of applications and you're going to have a woman like Candace Owens and you're going to have another woman that's like the current Godot lady. You basically get what you get. And usually, you end up getting like the far left Marxist types that are interested in the position. You probably get a lot of guys as well. But the problem with the guys is that you don't get to fit the quota, right? So if you have like a male-oriented hobby, because this is the problem, right? Like if you went to 50 Shades of Grey, I guarantee to you would have like a lot of women that are community managers and they're more than willing to do the job and they would do a really good job at it, right? But if you go to a place like Battletech, like you're going to find almost all of them to be guys, right? Like all the people that are passionate about the hobby are going to be men. However, the few women that apply are going to probably be like extreme left-leaning types, because the only reason that they're even attracted to the hobby is the power trip that they get. So, give me 1 second, because someone is constantly harassing me now. My developer, he wants to know what dialogue we should use. All right, I figured it out. So yeah, going back to circling back like John Saki. There's two main reasons that we've gone through so far to recap. The first one is that most moderators on Reddit are left-leaning. The other one is that a lot of these companies are hiring so that they can fit a percentage, so that they can fit a quota. And the third reason is that even when you have a normal community that's built from the ground up, you will see often that these community managers are going to try their best to subvert those communities, to co-opt them, to infiltrate them. The perfect example of this is the story, I believe it's Battletech, right? That board game that Razor Fist really likes. If you look at the story of that, it's very interesting. It used to have like two major community points. One of them was one of them was on Discord, and the other one was on Reddit. And basically what happened was that the company hired this community manager, and she's like left-leaning as fuck. Like she's an actual Marxist, and she's got her own subreddit, and they only talk about Marxism and socialism. Like insanely left-wing, even for AOC standards. So she basically goes to this official Reddit and tells the owner of the board, you can, like, we don't like the fact that there's a lot of sexism, racism, homophobia, blah, 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 blah. And if you want our company to keep working with you, to keep giving you early access, to keep giving you stuff, you need to allow me and my mods to take over your community. So eventually the admin of the board goes like, okay, fine. I mean, he understands that the reason his community is so large is that they're getting support from the official company. Like they're getting sneak peeks, previews, developer commentary, right? And he wants to keep access to that. So he basically allows her and the mods to come in, and she brings like all of her far leftist mods from the other forum over there. And obviously, you know, they start banning everyone that doesn't agree with their politics, and they start saying that, oh, no, identity politics is actually not political, but all the other politics are banned. So, like, if you try to talk against refugees, well, you get banned because that's political. But if they get to talk about queer folk coming in, well, that's fine because that's not political, right? So it's pretty much like how it works with these people. So they managed to, like, completely subvert the Reddit forum. On Discord, they did the same, but on Discord, I think they actually Me Too'd the guy in charge, because the guy in charge wouldn't want to give her access. So she Me Too'd the guy in charge, and then the second guy that came after the guy in charge gave her access. The left was really good at operating these subversion campaigns. My favorite one was what they did to NeoGAF. Basically, like the NeoGAF one is really bizarre. So, for those of you who don't remember, before Reset Era, NeoGAF was an extreme far-left website. Like, probably the most radical left-leaning website on the internet, and they would ban you for almost anything. Like, they even banned people just to keep others in line, to remind people, yeah, like, you need to be afraid of the moderators, because sometimes we just ban people to show that we mean business. And what I think the scandal was that there was on their Discord a secret channel where the moderators and the admins were talking about sexualizing minors and having like this inappropriate role playing and sharing illegal pictures. I think like this was the argument. It's like 5 or 6 years ago, so I don't remember exactly. But they're coming up with this statement and they're showing logs, and I think it may actually have been true. I think it may actually have been true, but despite that, you get to see how they managed to get everyone to go to Reset Era because they got all of the moderators from NeoGAF and the staff. They got them to work together and they crashed the website so that when the controversy hit, and I think they didn't even show evidence at the beginning, it was just the accusation. But when the controversy hits, the website goes down. So like the owners and the people accused, they don't have a platform to give their side of the story. And from a user perspective, if you're like a NeoGAF member, you now can't access the website, but hey, there's this other site, Reset Era, that just opened, and you can go over there. Like all of this was coordinated, all of this was planned, and it was incredibly effective. But my point is, like, the reason you get like all these weird community managers is because either you're hiring mods from Reddit, which are left-leaning, they're filling diversity quotas, or the left just subvert your shit. They just subvert your shit outright. They will, come from these companies and they will say, either you put me in charge and you gain benefits like early access, CD keys, whatever. Or if you don't want to put me in charge, then you get me too'd and you're going to step down and the guy coming after you is going to be the one that we're going to do business with. Because hopefully he's going to be more reasonable. So Zlixia says, ignore the quotas, either move company where they don't apply or accept the fine. Is the cost of that having your brand damaged? A lot of people are banking on the fact that the brand is not going to be damaged, and they're also thinking that it's too expensive to move. It's not so simple to move companies. Just so you know, I was reading in the press, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, a Starbucks wanting to close down in San Francisco, and it's not allowed to close down. Like, they got sued, and apparently the board there goes like, no, it's not your store, it's ours, and you're going to keep it open. And you're going to pay the people that were hired the pay for the last 3 months, and you're going to keep them hired. I'll have to make a video about it, but it's fucking insane. Like, a lot of these places have legislation where it's very difficult, if not impossible, to move. It's not as simple like, oh, I'm just going to pack up the office. Take into account, like, most of them are small businesses, right? Like, if you're talking about American entertainment and you're talking about companies that have more than a couple of $1 million in the bank, they're not small businesses. Like, they're not just like a random independent guy that goes like, okay, well, my office is now in Texas. And in a couple of weeks, they just got to move out. In some cases, you have people coming out the office, right? So, like, what do you do then? It's like, what if they don't want to move? Like you have your people in Texas, let's say, and they're coming to the office and they're doing the job, and now you want to move to Chicago. Do the people working at your company want to do the move? Are they going, right? Like, what do you do? Do you hire new people? How many? Like, it's not such an easy decision. So the reality is that these diversity quotas in some cases are enforced to you by legislation. Like, if you're a publicly traded company, you usually have to show the quotas. And it's easy to just have like, okay, well, a community manager. Like, what the fuck do? They write some emails. They don't have to crunch. They don't have to even come to the office. It's just a name. Like, all they have to do is to post some updates, and that's it. So most companies think like, okay, well, we put a woman in the job. And she's just going to do that, and she's going to get a paycheck, and she's going to be happy, right? We're not going to underpay her. We're not going to give her minimum wage. We're going to pay her a decent amount, and all she has to do is to promote the product. But they don't understand just how extremist the left ideology has become, to the point where if you put someone that has absolutely no attachment to the company, they're going to do a bad job. Then he challenged the legislation as the Supreme Court found diversity quotas illegal. Well, you can do a business and try that. I'm pretty sure like the culture is changing, right? So like things may actually change, but very slowly. Now woke is becoming toxic. Like we saw it with Bud Light. We're seeing it now with Godot. We saw it with Target. We saw it with Concord. we saw it with Forspoken. We're seeing it with Ubisoft and their stocks. Woke ideology is becoming very toxic. It's a toxic brand now. So it's going to take a while. Take into account that most of these entertainment companies have like at least a 4-year cycle of development, meaning that the games that are greenlit today in 2024, they get to come out in 2028. So the games that are coming out now are from 2020. It's like the pandemic games. And during the pandemic, wokeness was massive. Like the woke were in control of almost every single forum, every single moderation, everything, right? And the thing with the woke, what I noticed they do is they take over a Discord server or they take over a forum and then they start banning anyone that disagrees, right? It's the first thing that they do. They ban anyone that even remotely has a different opinion. And after they finish banning everyone, they end up with people that are agreeing with them. And they genuinely believe that they are the majority. Like they start believing that they're normal people, that their ideas are perfectly fine, that everyone in the world thinks that men can have periods, and that adding cellulitis and chess scars into video games is what's going to sell. And they're convinced themselves of that. They think that they are the majority, and anyone that disagrees is probably like a fringe, crazy minority that has no idea what they're talking about. My favorite thing is when the left-wing public figures are harassed by Australian police and they start saying free speech, free speech. I saw this in the UK as well. I mean, a lot of the woke people, they live in the past consistently. They do not realize that the society is changing according to their ways. And I don't know if they're being disingenuous or, you know, because they never get oppressed, they don't realize just how bad censorship is. But they, like I see in the UK, usually Just Stop Oil protesters arrested and they start screaming about free speech. And I'm like, what fucking free speech? You're in the UK, you have people arrested for tweeting emojis on social media. What free speech are you talking about? Like, UK doesn't have free speech. It doesn't have it in the Constitution. It doesn't respect it. Like, they consider... Just so you know how batshit crazy the UK is when it comes to shit like this. I don't know if they passed it or not, but, like, I saw on Twitter that someone took a picture in the London subway. And it showed that it's illegal to stare at a person for too long. Like, staring at a person is sexual abuse. And I'm thinking like, oh, fuck off. There is no country in the world where staring is illegal. Now, I get it. You know, it's creepy. Like it's ill-mannered. It makes people uncomfortable. But you want people to be prosecuted legally for staring. Are you fucking insane? How do you even do that? Like, okay, the person can just think about something. You know, this happens to me a lot. Like, I'm in the subway, there's nothing I can do, I'm just sitting there, so, like, I'm trapped with my thoughts, right? And I try to organize things, and you just look at a place, you know, you're looking in the distance, and you're thinking about shit. Now, if it happens that some lady is in your sight, oh, are you staring at her? And as stupid as this says, it actually almost got a person canceled. There was this TikTok lady back when it was trendy, to make these TikTok videos at the gym, and so, oh my god, men are oogling at me type of content. And she accused this guy of staring at her. And she's showing a picture, and yeah, like the guy is looking at her for a long period of time, and she, you know, is dressed in very provocative clothing, and she says that she's feeling uncomfortable. Alright. Well, it turns out that it literally on top of her, like literally on top of her, was a TV. And the guy posted, it's like, I was watching the fucking TV. I didn't care about you. Like, you weren't the only hot girl in the gym. Like, there were other women hotter than you. So, basically, the guy manages to avoid cancellation. But it's just like an example of how easy it is to falsely accuse someone of staring. Because it's like, you don't know what the person is doing and what's going in their head. Like, maybe you have, like, a booger coming out of your nose, and that's why the person is staring, you know? Like, that all type of staring can be sexual. But still. And at the end of the day, you know, like, there should be a level of uncomfortableness that a person should have to tolerate. Like if I'm going in an airplane and next to me there's a sick kid, like a baby, he's coughing, he's got boogers out of his nose. I know that because of that, I'll probably get sick tomorrow. You know, I know that if I get sick, maybe I'll get my kid sick. But like, it is what it is, you know, like it's something that I have to put up with. I don't want legislation to be passed so that, oh, now the baby is considered the biohazard, and anyone that takes a sick child out of their house without, private transportation should be arrested. Like, come on. But this is what the left does. It's like every single inconvenience needs to be criminalized. Oh, he's staring at me. Criminal. It's like, fuck off. So, yeah, like, when you hear a country like the UK talk about free speech, or when you hear about a country like Australia talk about fascism, like, you guys went insane during COVID. Like, I'm sorry to say this, but wasn't it Australia, the country, which decided that if you're a member of the representatives, if you're not vaccinated, you can't go in? So, like, let me get this straight. Vaccinated people can elect someone to represent them, right? Like, they vote for a representative. And then that representative, if he doesn't get vaccinated, like all the people that he has to represent now do not get represented. How is that democracy? Makes no fucking sense. If anyone sets up a tripod camera and studio lights, it's impossible to not look at the insanity. Yeah, but my favorite take is that some gyms are starting to ban the cameras and a lot of women are freaking out. And it's like, look, lady, if you really want a studio, just make a workout gym in your house. They're basically like arguing like it's a fucking human right to videotape yourself. But I'm sorry, in Japan and other countries, it's actually illegal to film in public, and I think like that's actually a good legislation. I do think it's a good legislation. Like you can still film yourself in public, but you have to censor other people. Aussie land is still a prison colony. Yeah, but take into account that a prison colony is not just a place of descendants of prisoners. It's also a place of descendants of jailers. So the mindset is still there. The thing with the female gym, I can tell you why it's a nothing burger. It's because there are so many gyms that are women only, right? So if you're a woman and you genuinely do not want the attention of a man, you genuinely just want to work out and videotape yourself and shit like that, why don't you go to a woman-only gym? Why not go to a women-only gym? And you can do all of that. And you don't have to suffer men oogling at you. You don't have to worry about men hitting on you. Like, there are no men-only gyms, right? Like, men can't go to a place where there's no women filming them. That's not a thing. But there are women-only gyms. Now, the other interesting aspect is that, oh, well, if I can't film myself, how can I feel safe? How can I feel safe? It's like, well, in the gym, there is a thing called a security camera, and there is a thing called staff, and there is a thing called other people. So, no, I don't think so. I think you just want to make TikTok videos. I think you want to make TikTok videos and get trending because that's what gets you cash. But the problem is that it's coming at the expense of other people. Yeah, no, like all of these bandwagons, you notice on TikTok that they're appearing, and the way it works is like you have one lady that maybe actually did find a creepy guy at a gym, right? Like maybe she did find a creepy guy at a gym that was videotaping her, and she uploaded the video and she managed to get very popular. She managed to get like millions of likes and stuff. So like other content creators are like, oh, is that what people want to see? Well, that's fine. I'll do it as well. And as more people do it and everyone gets popular, it becomes a bandwagon. It becomes a trope. But the problem is like the men that are being videotaped. Like, first of all, maybe some men don't want to appear on the internet. How about that? Like, if you're filming and you got like 10,000 subscribers, maybe I don't want them to see me. Maybe, you know, I'm at the gym because I'm uncomfortable with the way I look. Have you thought about that? Like, maybe I think that I'm a little bit obese and I want to go to the gym to lose some weight. And I don't want the internet to see how I look. Do I have a choice in that? No, apparently not. And I can understand that. It's a perfectly fine sentiment for people to have. Yeah, creepy means not her standards, of course. But like the interesting thing is that if you look at a lot of male culture, if you don't have it femsplained to you, a lot of men do not like other men that prey on women. Like, what I mean by this is that men, I know this is shocking for leftists, but men have husbands, wives, daughters. They don't like the idea of other men being predators. So they will usually check that dude. Like, if you're a guy in a gym and you go, at least it's in my country, I don't know how it's in other places, but like, if you're at the gym and you're hitting on some women and they say no, and then you're hitting on other women and they say no, and you're hitting on other women, there will be guys that will tell you to knock it off. Or if you're hitting on women and you're incredibly creepy and incredibly, or you're staring, there will be guys that will tell you to stop that shit. I mean, when you look at prison life, right? When I went to law school, I actually, like part of my training was also in criminology, and we looked at how criminals behave. And one of that was actually talking about prison life. And all the prisoners, right, whether they're murderers, whether they're drug dealers, like, what they all have in common is that they hate anyone that has any type of sexual offense crime. So they will check those guys, right? Like, the idea that, no, what the left is creating is that all men are fine with it, and it's like part of bro culture. No, it's not. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't men that are predators, but like, overwhelmingly, most men don't want that shit because they also have family at home. And the reason that I see it happening in America, like in America, it's actually in leftist cities it's happening, and it's I guess a subversion of normality, the upside down. When you're reading an article and it says that a woman was raped in a subway in public and no one did anything, well, the reason no one does anything is that they're afraid that if they are the good Samaritan, they're going to end up in prison. Because there have been cases where someone did try to do something, and then they were prosecuted for trying to do something. So they do have family at home, but they're also thinking, yeah, I actually want to see my wife today. I don't want to end up at the police station. But in normal societies, in normal countries, if you try to do that shit in Romania, you get checked immediately. Like, you're going to find yourself eating dirt with 5 people pinning you down until the cops approach. And, oof. There was a brand that did the N yesterday and didn't work out well for them. I'm here, bro. You got no regular scheduling, streaming schedule this day. Yeah, I tried to schedule to stream a little bit earlier for the Europeans. And thank you for the 5 memberships. Staring can be shit, but in the majority of cases, it is perfectly fine. Yeah, except in the UK. Apparently, they tried to pass legislation to ban people from staring, as I was saying. Your Honor, he molested me with his mouth to mouth, saving my life. No, that doesn't happen. No, like, what can happen is, like, all right, so you have a guy that's forcing himself on a woman in a public train, right? And let's say you go there to stop the guy. Well, if you end up hurting the guy, then you can end up getting prosecuted. That's what people are afraid of, like the Good Samaritan. And it actually happened in New York, and ever since that, there have been many cases where women were in danger and people on Twitter were like, well, what were the men doing? What were the men doing? And the response was, let me see if I can find the picture, because it's like a meme now. And he just showed this picture and it explains exactly where the men are. I don't think I can find it. Here we go. Right. So this is like the image that whenever people ask on Twitter, where are the men? Where are the men? What were the men doing? This is the image that's being shown, right? And it's an image that's so powerful you don't have to add anything. You just show it, and people just shut the fuck up. Even the left shuts the fuck up, right? So, like, there are cases where it happens. It's like some lady got robbed or some lady got assaulted, and it's like, well, where are the men? Where are the men? And you just show this, and that's it. There's a conversation over. There's nothing else to add. There's nothing more to say. I think, they do say that the picture is worth 1,000 words. I think that one is worth even more. And this is why, in other countries, oh, please don't do it. This is why in other countries, you have people acting if they see a crime, while places like the US, you don't. No, the reason mouth to mouth isn't taught anymore, I actually learned this in med school. So, during CPR, you have to give... well, it's not that you have to. It's more effective that you give mouth to mouth. However, unless you're a doctor, you're usually trained not to give mouth to mouth. And they found out that people are more reluctant to perform CPR if they have to give mouth to mouth, right? So, studies show that if it's just about applying chest compressions, almost everyone is willing to do it. But if you're training people, like for instance, you get, what was it called? A first aid training for, here in Romania, if you want to get a driving license, you got to pass a first aid training test, right? And the first aid training, it's like basically telling you how to bandage wounds, don't move a person after they got injured, if they got injured on the spine, how to do CPR. And basically what they're saying is, like, do not teach civilians to give mouth to mouth because they will be very reluctant to perform the rest of the CPR, right? So just tell them to do the compressions, which is better than nothing. Now, if you're an actual doctor, then yeah, you gotta do the mouth to mouth. The thing is, it's like the compressions by themselves can oftentimes work. There have been cases since medieval time where... basically, like this is something that blew my mind, because we learned the history of medicine, and people in medieval time used to give CPR. Now they didn't know about chest compressions or anything like that, but what they did find out is that if someone just drops dead and you put them on a horse and you make the horse gallop really fast, the person can come back. The reason for this is that the way they would place them on the horse with their chest down, as the horse is galloping, it smacks the chest against the back of the horse, and it's like CPR. I think like they may have found out, like some old man managed to fall in the fields, and they were like, okay, well, let's rush him in I guess they didn't have a physician, but they would probably have like someone in the village that does herbal medicine and shit, right? Usually like the old lady that knows the tinctures and stuff. And as he's on the horse, he comes back to life, right? And it's like, oh, well, I did that and it worked, so like more people tried it and maybe they have found something about it. But I don't know if they thought that it's magic or whatever. I don't know how they would explain it. But like a lot of things that people did in the past was like, well, someone did it and it worked. We don't know why it works, but it does, so like let's keep doing it. Companies know who their HR is. They know who is hired to manage their communities. They hire activists on purpose because their politics are more important than any amount of monetary gain for the sales. Well, I already explained why they're hiring it. I don't know if you watched the beginning of the stream, but it's basically because that's how Reddit bots are, is to fit diversity quotas, and it's also, in some cases, because they're getting coerced. But if you find out, like let's say you're a company and you find out that your entire management is completely corrupted, like what can you do at that point? If you decide to go after them, they will do their best in order to fuck up your shit. So let's assume that I was to have... This is why I never invited friends in my World of Warcraft guild. Like, what I mean by this is if someone was applying to my guild, you had to make an individual application. I would never have considered someone that was, me and my 5 other buddies want to come into your guild. And even if they had like the best gear in the world, and they would have been a really good asset, I would have still declined. Because nothing can fuck you worse than nepotism. Usually, like, you get 5 people and one of them is shit, and now you have to deal with the shit person, because if you don't, the other 4 guys threaten you with leaving. But what usually happens is, like, let's say you have all of your Jannies on a Discord server that's like a really big company server. Let's say it's got like 30,000 users or so, right? And this particular place, it's got all of the Jannies far left. Now, if you want to ban them, there is so much shit they can do to you. There is just so much shit. They can start posting porn in order to make your company look bad and unprofessional. They can just start deleting channels, deleting communications, ban all members. I mean, there is just so much damage they can do. And then, after you ban, like, let's say the head moderator, the other ones leave. They can take users with them. They can start an alternative server. They can then go through the stuff that they banned, and they can say, well, this was what was on this server. This is what the company stands for, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, like, they show the end towers and all that. So it's very difficult for a company to get rid of the cancer once the cancer is in. Now you can say that you can ban them overnight, which you can, but like, most companies, you need to understand how they work. A lot of corporations are bureaucratic in nature. It's not like it's your business and you can just do this in your free time, right? Like, they kind of get to know what's coming before it's coming. And usually, like, in order to get them fired, you gotta go to the HR lady that hired them in the first place. And the HR lady probably agrees with them. So you're telling the HR lady, hey, I need you to fire these guys, and in a couple of hours, the HR lady calls them up, and it's like, yeah, the boss is going to ask me to fire you. So now they know, and they can still fuck you up. It's not so simple. If it was simple, then yeah, people would have done it by now. And then it's also like the thing that, because I was talking with one of these higher ups, and I was asking, it's like, dude, why do companies do this? Like, they're losing money, and they're like, well, yeah, but like, we can take money from another place that's productive and dump it in. And it's like, okay, so you're basically hiring people, knowing that they will do you damage, financial damage, so you can then take money from another place that's profitable and dump it in. Like, how the fuck does that make sense? I wonder if Disney does this as well. Like, Disney's merchandise industry is still good, right? So, like, they're still selling t-shirts, they're still selling keychains, they're still selling that. But often their movies are bad, or their TV shows are shit. So, like, do they take money from the merchandise they're selling, or their theme parks, and putting it there? There is a reason that you lose access before getting fired. Yeah. But again, like, the problem is, in order to even get them to lose access, you have to go through the HR lady. Tell IT to take their permission away, then tell HR to fire them. But it doesn't usually work like that. Dude, they're community managers. They're not on a company server. Community managers usually operate from home, and is their personal Discord account. And the admin is a community manager themselves, right? So, like, a lot of companies have this level of lack of professionalism simply due to the fact that they didn't expect to get this big. So, like, perfect example, right, with Battletech. Battletech used to have 2 major fan-based communities that got co-opted by the Marxists. One of them was on Reddit, one of them was on Discord. I talked about it before, but I guess you weren't here. And the community manager from the official company basically told the Reddit, it's like, look, either you give me, you need to allow me and my moderators to step in, because there's a lot of racism, homophobia, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't allow me to do that, then we will stop giving you early access. We will stop having our developers come here. We will stop giving you all these perks. So she brings all of her, Marxist moderators there. And on Discord, she just Me Too's the guy and then takes over. So what do you do then? Like, there is no IT. There is no, ability to take away her account. You as a company can just say, well, yeah, all right, this lady doesn't represent us anymore. But, like, she still has the server. She still has the Discord. So, like, what can you do? I don't even know if she's paid. She may just be a volunteer. What I do know is that there were like two ladies from this company, and one of them was actually passionate about Battletech, and she was actually passionate about the community. And the Marxists bullied the other one away. They Gina Carano'd her ass. Yeah, man, Disney is such a major disappointment. I grew up with Disney. I mean, many of people of my generation did. And one of my biggest dreams was to go to Disneyland. Like, every kid had this dream, right? Now I grew up, and I'm not as interested in Disneyland as I used to. But now that I have a son, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool if I take my son to Disneyland? And with all the things that I see, with all the stuff that's coming out, I don't think it's a good idea. Number one, Paris. And number two, the absolute state of Disney, their culture, the theme park itself. I'm like, no, I'm not going to raise my son with Disney. I don't think that's a good idea. But it's sad, because like I was thinking, this is like one of the dreams that I didn't get to have as a kid. I never got to go to Disneyland. So maybe my son can live that dream, right? Like he's 10, 14 or something like that. I can take him to Disneyland. He can see Mickey Mouse. It's going to be like a really cool journey for him. And I realized that no, maybe it's actually a bad idea to do that. Maybe it's not in his best interest. Take your kid to Universal Studios Japan. Oh, Jesus. Do you know how difficult it is for a Romanian to go to Japan, man? Like, okay, here's the thing. If I go to France, people speak English. Like, it's an international language. Most people speak English. You can get around. If I go to Japan, I don't speak Japanese that well. So, it's not just like the Japanese thing. It's also that the letters, the entire alphabet. Gee, stop that. It's also the alphabet is different. And I just am afraid that I would get lost. But the biggest thing with Japan is it's so fucking far away, man. Like, for a Romanian, I actually looked. It's crippling expensive. You gotta take 3 different flights. So I think you gotta fly from Romania all the way to France. You gotta take another plane that takes you halfway. And then from there, you take another plane that takes you to Tokyo. So it's like 3 plane trips. 24 hours distance total. Unless I was to plan to move to Japan and stay there like PewDiePie, which honestly wouldn't necessarily be that of a bad idea. But unless I plan to do that, then no. No, it's just way too fucking difficult. And you also need to make the return trip, right? So like 24 hours through the airport and then 24 hours coming back home. That's just crippling. For me, Japan is just next door. Going to Japan is needing to learn how to read 3 different scripts and know at least 2 different languages, yeah. It's super easy to go around Japan. They made it very handicap accessible. Okay. It's still like the thing when I go to a place, I like to know that I can just talk to people. There's like different reasons why you want to seek help from someone, and I don't want to be like a fish out of the water, Like, if I don't feel comfortable, I'd rather not go. Even if, like, my uncomfortability is due to some level of paranoia. The only reason that I can't learn Japanese is because their alphabet is extremely hard to memorize. Yeah, see, a lot of people are laughing that Japanese people don't speak good English. And I gotta say, I have a lot of respect, not just for the Japanese, but for any Asian. Whether they're Korean, Chinese, any Asian that can speak English. Like, dude, they had to learn a different alphabet. They had it much harder than I did. And then the pronunciation is different. Like, there are certain vowels and sounds that don't even exist in Japanese or Chinese or whatever it is. So, like, when I see a person from Asia that's speaking fluently in English, even if the accent is bad or even if they don't use the correct words, like just so you can understand, from my knowledge, Chinese is very difficult because the same word that's used with different intonations can have different meanings. So just like saying the same word, but like you're using different accents on it, it's like insane. It's like, how do they manage? I came from Asmongold video. Great content, by the way. New spin on gaming news. Did Asmongold cover me again? I get anxiety every time he does.
There's
No, he didn't. Okay, sure. Yeah, I actually made a video response. I don't know if I uploaded it for him today or not, but Asmongold is disagreeing on the usage of the word woke, right? Like, what is woke? He's reacting, I think, to a video from a guy called Actman, right? Now, Actman is pretty fucking woke, and usually when people ask what wokeness is, they're very woke. Like, what is woke? When you can't define what a woman is, that's what woke is. Like, if you can't tell me what a woman is, yeah, that's pretty fucking woke. But, you know, to summarize what wokeness is, it's cancer. Okay, don't want me to use the word, it's cancer. A lot of gamers are noticing that there's cancer in the entertainment industry. Now, they can't really articulate what exactly is it. They can't really pinpoint and say, oh, these are the things that make cancer. But it's like a pattern, you know? And they're trying to express themselves because they notice that the games are failing. The games that they like are going bankrupt. And they don't want that. So, like, they would wish they would stop. But in order to make it stop, you gotta criticize it. You gotta criticize the cancer. And some games are more cancerous than others, but it's what is cancer, by the way? What is cancer? Cancer is a faulty replication of data. The data is corrupted, and now it doesn't replicate properly. And it builds into a tumor, and it kills the host. So when you have, like, the CEO of Godot going, oh, what is happening in my company? I don't understand. You got cancer. It's killing your customers. It's killing your bottom line. That's what's happening. You got cancer. I really hate when people go, it's like, oh, the woke mind virus. The woke mind virus. I don't like the idea of virus. Because virus is like, you know, the idea that you're sitting at home and you're drinking some tea and you're taking some pills and you don't have to go to work, so it's pretty nice. If your doctor says, oh, you're sick, you got the flu. But if your doctor says, you got cancer. Like, holy shit, how do I get it out? And it's fucking terminal based on the stage. You know, it's like, oh, you got cancer. Like, what's happening? Oh, well, you know, some people in your company, they decided to gender swap the male lead in your game. Now it's a female character, and they're pretending as this is like some brand new innovation that no one else has done, and they're marketing as if you don't like their change, you're a sexist bigot. That's cancer. No, but like, seriously, I really hate this. It's regarding the meme with the quartering. And the quartering is basically doing this whole thing where, you know, you put a woman in the game and he's like, well, now you made it political. So, the problem isn't the switching from a male to a female character, but like, even if we were to look at that, you're telling me that if they were to take Tomb Raider, which has Lara Croft as the main character, right? And you insert a random dude. You make it play with Lara's butler, right? Like now, instead of Tomb Raider, where you play as Lara Croft, you play as her butler from the first game. So you're playing as this frail old man, which can also climb rocks and shit. But it looks really off. It looks immersion breaking, right? But they're saying you're doing it for representation. You're telling me that if people were to complain that they gender swapped Lara Croft, that wouldn't be accurate criticism? Because you're playing Tomb Raider to play with Lara. That's the whole point. Like, she is the icon of the franchise. You cannot have a Tomb Raider franchise without Lara Croft. And it's the same with God of War. Like, you're playing God of War to play as a toxic guy named Kratos. If you want something else, make a new IP. Like, people aren't complaining about Stellar Blade because you get to play as a female character. People don't complain about Tomb Raider that you get to play as a woman, or Bayonetta that you get to play as a woman. But people do complain when you have a video game that's set around Ghost of Tsushima, which is Jin, and he's the main character, and then in the sequel you gender swap him for no apparent reason. You're just putting a female character, which is like, just happens to be voiced by one of the most far-left activists imaginable that are like, defund the police. If you don't agree with my takes and you're a cis woman, then log off, you know? Of course gamers are going to be upset. It's always the male lead being replaced by a female. The thing is, like, I don't even fucking complain that much. Like, there are a few games that I wouldn't want to see this happen. I wouldn't want to see the male lead replaced by a female. Those games are as follows. God of War. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Because you're supposed to play as a toxic guy. I think, like, Hitman 47, if it was played by a woman, but like, she would have to actually be sexy and use her charisma in order to make it work. Like, that would actually be interesting. Like, a Hitman 47 game where you play as an actual woman. But again, it wouldn't be Hitman, right? Like, you'd have to make a spin-off. You'd have to make something else. It wouldn't be the same vibe. It's not the same thing. Witcher? Like, if in The Witcher you play as a woman, it wouldn't be The Witcher. You do get to play Ciri in the game. But again, it just doesn't feel like The Witcher is about girl. If you want to make something else, that's fine, but it's a new IP. If you want to be as a... And the thing is, like, what they do, and it really pisses me off, is like, okay, you want to play as a woman, that's fine. But make the world react to you as if you're a woman. Like, if you play a woman in a medieval society, does that not matter at all? Like, none of the NPCs ask, hey, lady, why do you carry a sword? Hey, lady, what are you doing here? You know, none of them try to hit on you. None of them try to assault you. No, it's just like, all of a sudden, the entire universe just stops because you're a woman. Like, in a medieval society, traveling between cities is incredibly dangerous because there's highwaymen that want to pillage and murder and rob. Right? But like, for some reason, if you're playing a woman, no, they just don't exist anymore. Like, and my point is, like, if you're going to make a game where you play as a female character and the game doesn't acknowledge that you're female, what's the fucking point? And there's two games that do acknowledge that you're female, and they're done very well. Tomb Raider, the first one, the remake, it has Lara Croft, and she's actually acting very feminine there. She's very scared. And as the game progresses, she actually manages to get confidence in herself and becomes the heroine that she's meant to be. And there's also a guy that's a simp for you, and he's trying to impress you and gets himself killed, and it's a very emotional moment. Like, that is a game that actually has you playing as a female character. Life is Strange, the first one, I'm sorry to say it, it's actually a good representation of what bullying among girls looks like. Like, I can definitely tell that the person who made the game at least understands femininity and teenage girls. You play as a woman in a school setting, you get bullied by others, right? The game is actually acknowledging the fact that you're playing a female character. Then you have... so we got through Tomb Raider, Life is Strange. There was another one. Yeah, I forgot the name. A Plague of Rats, I think it's called. Where you play as the big sister and you have to get little sister away from the city and you're being hunted down by the church. Again, that game actually has you feeling as if it matters, the fact that, like, it's part of the story that you're a woman. Other games, no. Like for instance, Assassin's Creed, every single time you play as a female character, like, you can reskin the character, make it look like a man, nothing changes. Even the dialogue would be the same. Except for the pronouns. Tomb Raider, the next two ones, again, doesn't matter. Like, no one hits on Lara, no one acknowledges that Lara is a woman or good looking, no one cares. And if you're going to do it like that, if you're going to make it so that you can just, like, skin swap the character, then what's the point? Anyone who says what is woke is being disingenuous or simple and idiot. Yeah, pretty much. Notice how they never ask, like, what is racism? Notice how they never ask, like, what is a right-winger? What is a Chad? What is an incel? Like, these are never things that they don't understand. They always seem to get what these are. They never understand what is woke. Anyway, I need to go now before the tower is completed because I see another A and it's getting me. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.